Shota Imanaga's contract situation is a little bit stranger than I thought at the beginning, right? I mean, of course you got to bring him back, or maybe not. We're going to talk about that. How safe is Craig Counsell after next year? I think he's perfectly fine now, but what about in the future? And how about David Ross? Is Rossi going to manage again? His name's being bantied around baseball. We're going to get into that and more right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Also, hit our QR code and be part of AveD and Mick Nation and Mick Nation, not Mix. Or I like Mick Nation. Whichever you like. Let's go with it. And let's get the show started. Good to see you guys today. Go Cubs. Hey, everybody, it's Mick Gillespie, Cubs Baseball channel, and it is wonderful to see you guys today. I want to say right out of the bat, right out of the jump, right at the bat, thank you for watching the last few shows. Like, the numbers have been great, and I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out here. Maybe it's the topics, maybe it's that the end of the season's here, maybe that we're kind of calling out the Brew crew for a little bit of disrespect. Whatever it is, thank you. And I appreciate you so much. All right. As we get going on this show, I want to talk about this right out of the chute, Shota Imanaga's pending contract decision. And to me, this seemed like a no-brainer, right? Like, you're going to extend or re-sign, or however you want to say it, like Shota Imanaga. I mean, you possibly, there's just doesn't seem like there's a way that you're going to not have him back in the rotation for next year. Then I read Bleacher Nation and my man Brett, and he puts up this story, and it's like, there's a lot more to it than just Imanaga's 4-year, $53 million contract because of all of the options that are involved in it. And he goes through the scenarios, and it's like the 2026 scenario. The Cubs come out and they say, hey, we're going to take it. And then all of a sudden they exercise the option, and it's a club option for 26, 27, and 28. They got to pay him $20 million in 26 and $20 million in 27 and $17 million in 28. And you're like, oh, that's a lot of money right there. But if the Cubs decline that $57 million club option, Shota can exercise a $15 million player option in 26. Would he do that? Or what if he declined it? And then the Cubs had to give him a qualifying offer. Would somebody else come in and swoop in and take him away? There's so many different contract scenarios in this entire thing, right? $20 million club option, a $15 million club option decline, player option picked up. Another one where you have the qualifying offer, and then you have another one where he becomes a free agent, and and then all that stuff. So I hope that he stays with the Cubs, right? There's just a lot to it, and that's how complicated these contracts are. I mean, I could sit here and talk about it because there's even more. It's like, well, how do you get the best deal for the team and not lose Shota Imanaga? And I know he didn't pitch well down the stretch, and they didn't feel comfortable enough with him to go in Game 5, which is honestly disappointing just because of how important he is to the rotation, right? But I still think that he's going to figure it out. And I think he goes to the pitch lab, he rests his arm, he figures out, what the deal is. And I can't imagine, I just can't, the Cubs going to spring training next year and him not being part of the rotation. You know that Justin Steele is going to be back at some point next year, probably not at the beginning of the year. Cade Horton will be battling for one of the top spots in the rotation. Matthew Boyd, hopefully we get the Matthew Boyd that we saw this year, right? Healthy and ready to go. Do the Cubs go out and sign someone? I think they could. I feel like the Cubs should go out and sign a marquee starter. Zach Gallen could be one of those guys. Merrill Kelly. I mean, who knows? Dylan Cease. I mean, there's going to be some pitching out there, and the Cubs, especially if they don't sign Kyle Tucker, need to go out and bolster the rotation, because what Theo Epstein said years ago bodes so perfectly honest with the way that this works. You got to have 8 guys. It's not 5 anymore. It's not 4 like it used to be. It's 8, 7 or 8. And that's what the Cubs did this year, and it paid off, because it seemed like they always had another guy ready to jump into the rotation until we got into the postseason. And then all of a sudden it was like relievers. So interestingly enough, as a slam dunk to me as it was, I read that and I'm like, hey, maybe I'm not on this like I should be, right? Now, the second thing I wanted to talk about on the show today was how safe is Craig Counsell and him with the Cubs. Now, he's going to be the manager next year. I'm not saying they're going to fire him today or anything like that. I mean, look, he's had a successful year. 2 years where the Cubs are over 500. And then this year, the regular season was a success. They were the number 1 wild card spot. They ended up with a 92-70 record. So that's 22 games over 500. Last year, they didn't make the playoffs, but they were 83-79. They made a late push to make it look good cosmetically, and they lost in Game 5 in Milwaukee to his old team. But next year, the Cubs are going to be, really, we're expecting that they're going to grow off of what they're dealing with right now, and that is win the division and be a true contender for a World Series. Instead of just making the playoffs and winning a series, their goal should be championship, pennant all year. And if that's not, then they're wasting everyone's time here. That's the next step. That's the goal. And so if he doesn't achieve that, and the front office doesn't achieve that, I feel like we're kind of back in that same situation that we were in this year, where if you don't have a sense of urgency, that there's going to be one of those deals where they're going to look around and say, hey, we are going a different direction if we don't feel like the direction we're going is the right direction. So all in all, look, I know we've had our problems with Craig Counsell in some areas. Honestly, I don't know that it's a whole lot different than where we were before with David Ross. And I'm going to talk about David Ross here in a second. The things I really like about Craig Counsell are, I think that he makes it a lot easier for young players to basically get into Major League Baseball starting lineups, because he takes the pressure off of them, like Matt Shaw and Michael Bush, Pete Crow Armstrong, and like those guys, Cade Horton. He's very protective of the transition. I give him credit for that. I think that he kind of manages a bullpen and in the starting rotation just about like everybody else. It's not like you're looking at Joe Madden where you're seeing somebody that absolutely sees things totally different. Just think he's consistently pretty good, and I don't have any problem with him. Like I know some of you guys didn't, and that's your opinion. Do I think that he's worth the enormous contract he's got? Not yet. You got to win in the postseason to get there. Not 4 games. You got to get to the championship series and eventually to the World Series. But we'll see what happens. I mean, that he's been there 2 years and they've taken steps forward 2 years. So that to me is really important. And then you got a young core of players that I think are going to make a difference. And if Kyle Tucker walks, you still have Owen Casey ready for that spot. I'm more concerned about some of the veterans, some of these guys with no trade clauses, or that are signed to long-term deals that are just menial contributors, where you need a star. And a lot of people feel like Kyle Tucker's not coming back. So the Cubs are going to have to find production somewhere else, and it's going to have to be with young players. Now, there's some openings right now in Major League Baseball. And one of those openings is in Atlanta with Brian Snitker out. The Padres managerial jobs open. Like, there's these jobs are open. And David Ross played for some of these teams, both of those teams. I think he is going to manage again. I think he should manage again. We were definitely critical of some of the decisions that he made. But looking back at where we are now and where we were with him, I don't see a whole lot of difference. There's a lot of stuff that he does that I really love. I think he's a great person. He connects with the players. He's a good modern baseball manager, like just is. So to think that he couldn't do the job again, to me, would be short-sighted. As a matter of fact, I think the problem that he had when he was with the Cubs is that he didn't manage a whole lot ever, really. He didn't manage at all before he got the job. And so many of these guys did. And so, to get to that job and not have the experience, you learn it on the field, and that's sometimes tough. But I feel like he could be a really good manager, and he's a great guy. Not just a Cubs legend, but he's a great guy, and I certainly hope that he gets that opportunity. I got a feeling he's going to. When they start looking around and he starts interviewing for jobs, it's probably time for him to get back and do it again. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. Again, thank you for being here on the channel. You guys want to talk about stuff, get in the comment section and tell me some show topics that you want to get into. What are some of the things that you guys are interested in as this offseason rolls? How many of you are pulling for the Dodgers after William Contreras pulled up that L flag? And want to see maybe the Brewers fall short. And then the other thing is join AveD, Mick Nation, right there. Hit that QR code. Be part of what we're doing. Man, we're red hot right now. We're giving away cash prizes each week. We got swag. We got a bunch of stuff going on. You just pick games and hang out with people, and it's all free. So thank you. And we sent not one, but two of you guys to the postseason. We're going to do it again. We didn't get there. So anyway, all of you guys, thank you for being part of the channel on a daily basis, wherever you might be watching. And go Cubs. We'll do it again.